I think Avatar is having more of an impact on Legacy than any of us expected, and Boomerang Basics? Actually, kinda crazy. Hello, folks. Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU, here for another Legacy video. And today I'm going to use one of the Dealer's Choice donation deck lists Bennett gave me to just try out what I would just call a Boomerang Basics deck. Unsummon, not a particularly good card, but having the flexibility of bouncing any non-land permanent a little better. Having the ability to cantrip with that and reuse some of your things that have ETB triggers, now we're starting to get into pretty powerful territory. Boomerang Basics is a temporary answer to anything, and so combo decks that just need to get something out of play for long enough to put their win condition onto the stack, they love this. And if they don't need to do that, play a Mox, Boomerang Basics it back to hand, and probably you just cantrips your way to something a little bit better than what you had previously. And if you are clocking your opponent for 7 or so with something like a Murktide Regent, you don't need to buy very much time, and Boomerang Basics becomes very good. However, what if it can also just be a value card? So, first turn, Stormchaser's Talent, get an otter with prowess. Second turn, Boomerang Basics, draw a card, trigger prowess, play Stormchaser's Talent again, triggering prowess again, getting a second otter. And this process can keep repeating. Planisphere is another one of those permanents that can be bounced for relatively good value, as it does kind of do the whole Batterskull Germ type thing, except the creature is a base 1/1 and is going to scale up every time you cast a non-creature spell, and scale up particularly well if you cast a Brainstorm. Mono blue decks tend to have the weakness that they can't really remove things. Blue is not a very good removal color. So here is Honorary Blue removal spell Dismember. Between that and Boomerang Basics, hopefully our bases are covered. As far as the sideboard goes here, there's one kind of spicy meatball in the form of Piracy Charm. This is not a card that I'm overly excited about. My guess is that this is, hey, I need more removal spells versus the card Orcish Bowmasters in particular, since I am cantripping so much. I think that's why that's here. And it does just have the upside of, hey, your draw step makes you discard the card that you drew for turn. I'm not excited about that, but I like the rest of the list a lot, and this was from the 5.0 deck list dump, so it is at least a little bit proven. If you don't have your copies of some of these newer cards yet, because you're a boomer who has all the old cards, but I don't know about these new cards, consider buying your Boomerang Basics, your Stormchaser's Talent from TOAMagic.com, and when you do, use promo code ThrabenU to save yourself a little bit on your order. They tend to have 95% or so of all the standard legal stuff at any given time, so if you need the new stuff, they should have it. Alright, let's battle. Now, some people might be thinking to themselves, why don't we just play a couple Underground Seas and have an easier ability to play Tamiyo? I have rock solid mana here, and there is something to be said of never ever ever being exposed to Wasteland. That means that when I make Tamiyo clues, my islands are always guaranteed to be able to crack those. And one way of fighting back against Tamiyo is to just say, hey, you don't get to crack those clues. That I think I will let happen. I think since I am wastelanding my opponent's Underground Sea, and maybe their land after that, my days will still be good later. Ooh. Wasteland you. Stormchaser's Talent. Make my Otter. Send in with my silly Magic the Gathering card that perhaps should not be legal in this format. And pass turn. Looted Delta from my opponent. How do I want to play this? I think by not making the land drop first, in case my opponent fetches in combat. I think I want to be able to wasteland them. And I also want to have the flexibility to play a second Tamiyo in main phase 2 if my opponent does like beginning of combat step fatal push. I am just going to play this out, though, to put pressure on them to be able to surveil immediately. I would like my opponent to stumble here. I have a lot of onboard value between the 2 Tamiyo clues and the 2 copies of Stormchaser's talent. I know I don't really have instants or sorceries to return right now, but they're coming. A Boomerang Basics would go hard right now. There's the basic island. Was there a cantrip? Yeah, okay, there was a cantrip previously. Got it. That was clearing some bottom cards from Ponder, I think. Land drop 2, which can represent basic swamp. I assume is what my opponent's gonna get. No, Underground Sea. I think is actually optimal for me to fight on my turn, so that if I daze an Orcish Bowmasters, these get bigger. Alright. So that my opponent can't daze with Underground Sea once I have something on the stack, I'm going to take this out now. Then I will float a mana, daze Orcish Bowmasters. Now these can't be pinged successfully by Bowmasters. Oh, and we do just win the fight just that easily. Planisphere is fine. Send on in. I'm not even cantripping crazy or anything right now, but the otters are still doing an okay job at reducing my opponent's life total. I would like to start cracking some clues soon, though. Doing things on my upkeep again? No. Fetch land. Do this. Planisphere. This is a Bowmaster moment. Yep. One of my otters gets pinged. Ooh, and a daze. Sure. I'm totally willing to trade my otter for Bowmasters. Yeah. I just don't think my opponent can crack that given this. Or rather, I don't think my opponent can lose the Bowmasters. Sure. Land drop comes back down. Opponent not willing to block with the Bowmasters, so that makes sense. That's very good. I think I am just going to cast this here, but this Boomerang Basics is going to be very good. I'm just a little wary that my opponent might have 3rd Bowmasters. Yeah, so I don't want to necessarily Boomerang Basics immediately. Yep. This will get bigger than this stuff in a minute. I think I'm going to chill with my Tamiyo. 4 onboard clues is probably enough. You can tell why the board has more answers to Bowmasters. These are doing a lot of metaphorical damage right now. My opponent's own copy of Tamiyo. Again, island benefit is real. That's not a very big Murktide. It might just be big enough. It might just be big enough. It's big enough that Tamiyo isn't a free roll. I guess... No, I shouldn't have left the days in the graveyard for this because I want to grow this to a 4/4. That's important. Well, this game started off really strong. Has gotten significantly worse. You have all 4 Bowmasters. I'm in such bad shape. Alright, cool. No Tamiyo attack. That is nice for me. Alright, there's some bonus land. Bowmasters are very inconvenient. And bouncing them, not the best. I think I might just try to make my short-term combat step better. And bounce this token out of play. Let's work on trying to end this game. We have the block on Murktide. Is there a Brainstorm? There is a Brainstorm. So Tamiyo becomes a Planeswalker. My opponent is at 7. Kind of want to just use my 2 mana to move this to a flyer. Let's move that to Murktide to make it likely that Murktide can kill Tamiyo next turn. Murktide also does not die to Fatal Push. Is going to be my opponent's most common removal spell in all likelihood. Sholdred's Edict. Yes. I'm not getting rid of Murktide. I will get rid of Tamiyo. I have another Tamiyo. Tamiyo pluses to 4. I need to cast a non-creature spell so that Murktide Regent can kill Tamiyo. Please don't Kaito me. I think my opponent just has a bigger Murktide. Thanks, I hate it. Alright, opponent is getting some chip damage in with the Bowmasters. So... this probably means that I win combat versus that Murktide Regent. Murktide alone getting through on the Tamiyo kills it. I think I go hero token at face, Murktide Regent at Tamiyo. I want to make it so that I have a pretty easy way to get lethal next turn. And I think if I send both creatures at Tamiyo, that's a little harder. I guess if I just go at face, this is lethal if my opponent doesn't block for some reason. Yeah... I guess let's go face. Tamiyo drinks my friends. There's the block. There's the dismember, making Murktide into a 1/1. I hit my opponent to 5, and then I play Tamiyo so that Sheoldred's Edict off the minus doesn't get to kill my Murktide Regent. Hopefully no Fatal Push. Fatal Push minus. Sheoldred Edict kill Murktide is a disaster for me. That'll buy my opponent time. Opponent is just going to keep the Tamiyo going up. That's not what I'm hoping for. But I guess it'll get me back a Dismember, which is fine. Let's go base. Base? Yeah. Tamiyo triggers, shrink my creatures again. Ooh, that's the double block. I don't have the spell to kill my opponent on the spot. Opponent goes to 1. It's more bearable to crack clues right now. I think that's not what I am doing. Just leveling up. Boomerang Basics better than Dismember. They can just bounce the Planeswalker out of play if things go south. I think it is. I guess I could have done that pre-combat. Fuck. Alright, opponent's Tamiyo comes in. I will block with my own Tamiyo. I think I beat Kaito. There's a clue. Alright, that was a lot more work than it should have been given how strong my start was. Multiple Bowmasters is brutal. GG. Let's get these in here somehow. I don't think I'm interested in anything else. The sideboard is kind of narrow. Let's go a Spell Pierce out and 1 cantrip out. My deck is not changing much. So from my opponent, I should perhaps be expecting Barrogoyf on the other side of the battlefield, if I wasn't already expecting that in game 1. Dismember sometimes kills that. My opening hand can answer a Tamiyo. I think that alone makes it a keep. I think I would first attempt to answer it with Dismember rather than Force of Will. Oh, hello. That was unexpected. I have lost my Brainstorm, which seems correct. My opponent can now read the rest of the game knowing that I have, like, removal spells and Force of Will. That's fine. I have a rock-solid mana base, as we have discussed previously, and I am into Planisphere immediately. Also, my opponent does not have, blue mana yet. So there's Planisphere. I will make my notable 1/1, and then presumably have to fight over a Bowmaster here. A Fatal Push. I have Boomerang Basics to just rebuy that. Okay. I don't think that is the fight point. Another Thoughtseize. I've lost 1 copy of Boomerang Basics. You've got it. Nice. Boomerang Basics, Planisphere. Did not hit my land drop that I wanted, which is a shame. But next turn I have Murktide Regent backed by 2 Force of Wills, which sounds pretty damn good. And I think just playing Murktide is better than Planisphere. Boomerang Basics, Brainstorm. I don't need to play around Daze right now, so I can leave 1 other card in graveyard. That is a 6/6 Murktide Regent in play. No Sheoldred's Edict immediately. No play from my opponent. Where's your Badlands now? In for 6. Opponent at 10. I will play a Planisphere. It just worked. 4 of a kind is pretty damn good. My opponent now has their blue mana, but it just might be too late. They are down to 9. They might just take lethal. Resolves and I'll Dismember it. They can't flip it or anything here. Yeah, that's fine. Dismember it. Sheoldred's Edict. Force of Will that. Scale up the hero token. This is now 9 damage. My opponent's dead. I don't know how much red stuff they had versus, like, that just being a cheeky Badlands for a sideboard meltdown or a couple Pyroblasts or something. But, like, this land might have cost my opponent that entire game. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. If you're looking to store your decks online, you're not going to find a better website. It's super organized and easy to use, and I sort everything that I do into a ton of format-specific folders, and you can customize the way that you use Moxfield to your liking. Whether you like text views or visual views of multiple different natures, Mox Field has it all. And it's so easy to use, you might even say that it's a snap. All right, opening hand here, very aggressive. Stormchaser's talent into Planisphere, and then start Boomerang Basicing my permanents back to hand to replay them. Have 2 dazes, which I will probably just use pretty aggressively. Or 3 dazes. 3 dazes. Always yield to my prowess triggers. Opponent fetches. Badlands again. Lightning Bolt. Nah. Otter's here to stay, baby. It's just 3 damage this turn. I'm getting in there. Wooded Foothills. So this is probably not a blue-black deck. This is probably just a Rakdos deck. Don't you wish you had counterspells, opponent? So you remember the other day when I recorded with Rakdos, and I said, yeah, Rakdos is kind of just a worse version of the Corey Steelcutter deck than the blue deck? Great example of why. 4x Hydroblast in. Is my opponent a Bowmaster deck? Probably 50-50. Maybe like 75-25. Erring towards it being more likely than not. I think I'm probably going to go Pierce out, Preordain out, or 2 of those 4 Hydroblasts. I might be able to get away without playing Force of Will because I have Hydroblast for Corey Steelcutter, and Corey Steelcutter is probably the biggest thing that I would need to just junk. I think I'm going to keep the Forces, rationalizing that Murktide Regent backed by Force of Will is stupid. I think I'm going to trim some actual cantrips and trim some Force of Wills. I don't think I want Force completely gone, but thinking about it a little bit more, I might just want to edge against Bowmasters still, because Tamiyo clues are dumb. As long as I have access to those, it's very easy to win the game. Opening hand is fine. It is not nearly as good as last hand. Last hand was a very special level of stupid. Just 2 1-mana threats and triple days was silly. I care more about something like a Bowmasters than I do this. I might not kill that immediately. I'm less scared of the DRC out of this deck than I am the 1 out of Delver. I don't even think this is going to attack for 3 this turn, on average. Aussies is fine. Although it's good. Alright, that's what I expected to lose. With 2 card types in graveyard, I will absolutely block. Not giving you that free damage. I'm fine getting the Clue Machine going. I will Ponder while it's not Bowmasterable. Oh, those are insane cards. Every single one of them is insane for different reasons. Bam, bam, bam. I think I'm just gonna fetch Brainstorm, Tamiyo plus Island. There's the Brainstorm. Put back. Land maybe. Oh, now we're getting a response. Oh, it's just a Surveil land. Yeah, sure. There's a Goyf. There's a Tamiyo plus. Currently a 1-1, but no instant in there. It's possible that I lose the Tamiyo. But if I lose the Tamiyo to a Lightning Bolt, that's something that already would have defeated the Tamiyo, right? Pyroblast is fine. Pyroblast going on that Tamiyo is actually probably actively good for me. It means that the Murktide Regent is less likely to eat it to said Pyroblast. Alright, how do I feel about Wastelanding my opponent? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I fetch or Wasteland 6 cards in graveyard, so I can leave Dismember in there, make a 5/5 Murktide Regent. I can also just try to further exhaust Pyroblast effects and removal spells from my opponent's hand with these, and then try to stick these afterwards. I think I can cast my spells in a random order and be favored to win this game. I think I'm going to get these scaling up. So I'll job select here, and then trigger for the +1/+1 counters. And maybe these eat removal spells so that these don't. It means that I take 3 from the DRC. I don't view that as that much of a problem as of right now. 13. Another land from my opponent. Another Goyf is good, but I have chump blockers or things that might just get bigger. Very nice. I think I will put you on the stack and see if anything happens. It doesn't, and then I'll go Murktide. Brainstorm and Ponder are leaving Graveyard for sure. These can leave Graveyard. And then do I leave Dismember in there or make the Murktide one bigger? I think I'll leave Dismember in there. All right, good stuff. See what opponents got. Something big. Double fetch. Oh, nope. Yeah, that's just the concession from my opponent. We just had so much accumulating card advantage there. These creatures are just scaling up by at least one per turn. I have Stormchaser Chount for Dismember coming. I have a Clue to Crack. I have a Tamiyo coming that I haven't even started touching yet. The attack into Murktide is forced. That was great for me. GG's. My opponent has revealed a Yorion. I am on the play. I have a Tamiyo backed by Force of Will. We'll see whether or not we play a game of Magic. Arid Mesa. Shrubland. Thoughtseize. Well, that can take my Force of Will. And does. Alright. My opponent needed all of that to take this out. Skyclave Apparition to exile, so probably some D&T looking build. Damn. Try to find a new threat here. That will do. You on bottom. You here. You here. No shuffle. And goodbye, Scrubland. I would prefer not to use the days in this next turn cycle because the Boomerang Basics lines are just so good. Nice. So I will Stormchaser's Talent, make my friend. Do I Boomerang Basics right now? I get more damage out of doing it next turn, but I think I am just going to do this now for mana efficiency. Cool. A Caracas, very good against Tamiyo. Swords resolves. I am going to just play another one, and that's like perfectly fine. I think I will Brainstorm before Bowmasters becomes a concern. Deck is fucking silly. So I Wasteland, your Caracas, and then I play Tamiyo this turn. I think I'll bury that. Redraw that. There's Wasteland. Take out Caracas. There's a Tamiyo. Backed by a counterspell again. Oh, opponent doesn't have more land. That is bad news for you. Yeah. Trigger. Then Talent. Then Talent. Otter. I know that I have a cantrip on top of my library that I can use to get a bunch of damage with for the next turn. Opponent will go to 14 from that. White Orchid Phantom. That's not a super good card, but it is a card. So, no. I think I am just on Otter beatdown duty right now. I would like to end this game relatively quickly. Preordain, trigger. Bottom the land. Going to assume that this is good. Just take it. Make land drop. Go to punchies. Send in for 4. Opponent is down to 10. Then fetch. Island. Crack clue. Lol. This deck is so fucking free. These wins are so easy. Terminus. Alright. 2 Tamiyos backed by Force of Will. Days. 2 Otterers. Silly. So, do I want to respect Bowmasters more in my opponent's Yorion deck? Also, do I want Consigns? Consigns do stuff. Consigning a Solitude remove trigger, for example. I think I'm going to take a Spell Pierce out for a Piracy Charm. I think I'll take a Preordain out for another one. And then I'll see how I feel about Consigns in a minute. It would not be bad. Deck's dumb. Basic Plains. Pass turn. Have rock solid, non-wastelandable mana. There's a Tamiyo. No immediate swords is good for me. Basic Plains. No immediate play. Need to keep Felia in mind here. Boomerang Basics is a fine pickup. And in. Then I will go ahead and play Stormchaser's Talent. There's Felia, which I will just dismember. Make my Otter. Fetch. Island. Target Felia. Pay the life. Pass. Still haven't needed to use the Force of Will, which is great. Not wastelandable. I'll Force of Will that. Do I want Murktide Regent or Boomerang Basics? Boomerang Basics on talent is pretty good. I think I'll just keep Murktide. I think that's an either is fine though situation. Like if I keep Boomerang Basics, I just make Tamiyo Planeswalker. I will go ahead and do pre-combat Ponder for my extra damage. Ooh. Now. Now I think I want to change my line. Now I want to crack that clue. Yeah. No shuffle. Punchies for 2. I really wish I had fetched prior to that Ponder, but that's fine. Oh, nice. Tamiyo plus. So now on my next turn, I can Murktide Regent while also Force of Willing something relevant. Nice. Threaded the window on that. Skyclave, I'll just Force of Will. That's fine. Get out of there. Crack Island as the first thing that I do. Or Crack Clue as the first thing I do, rather. I think I'm just always playing Murktide Regent this turn. Tamiyo plus. Otter in there. 17. Murktide Regent. The forces can go. I think I'm going to leave the Dismember, though, to pick that up with either of these 2 permanents. 6/6 is already a pretty fast clock. Recruiter for Solitude is quite good. Problem is that Tamiyo is just going to 8. Alright, it is Solitude. Junking another Recruiter, that's fine. Goodbye, Murktide. Daze is okay. So Ponder, let's just always yield to this. Piracy Charm. Let's shuffle that. That's fine. I will Wasteland your Caracas. Tamiyo to deadly levels. Opponent down to 15. Okay. Daze does not answer Disruptor Flute. Alright. We have a game again. Until I Boomerang Basics that out of play, and then draw Infinity cards. Second Daze is not very good. I pick up Dismember or Ponder. Probably Ponder. Get Ponder. Think I'm not going to try to push the 1 point of damage. Marsh Flats. Black mana is available now. Bowmaster is played around double Daze. I could single Daze to save my Otter. I don't think I'm gonna do that. The tail end of this game has gone about as badly as possible. Opponent is still going to attack down the Tamiyo. Reasonable. That's fine. That is worth my life here. Now I will Ponder. I think it's very easy for me to get Brainstorm locked given those cards. Let's shuffle that. Cast this Brainstorm before another Bowmasters could come down. That's the Boomerang Basics. Yep. Put back you. Put back you. I'll redraw you in a second. Boomerang Basics. Disruptor Flute. And I have priority after this resolves to Tamiyo Ultimate before my opponent can replay it. Yeah. I don't even know if I care. Resolves. Wrong counterspell. So, did I just draw a basic island? I did. Just go basic island into Stormchaser's talent immediately. And pass turn here. Next turn, it's very possible that I just, like, ultimate this thingy. And then my dazes are silly. Alright, that's Yori into hand. That will be dazable. Which is totally fine. I can also just hold up mana for Force of Wills. They cost 3 more to cast. That's just fine. There's a Wasteland on your Wasteland. Actually, let's do a Planisphere. Where's Planisphere? There's a Planisphere. Trigger Otter. Go to Punchies. Punchies for 2. My opponent doesn't want to block with their Recruiter because they want to Yori and Flicker it. We can call that good there. So there's 5 mana again. Alright, opponent is just chilling, which is fine by me. Yeah, that's fine by me. I have drawn some card. Doesn't matter too much what. Do I have a basic island? No. Let's play this. Let's play another Planisphere. Trigger both of these. Make the attacks in good. Go to Punchies. Just send in with both of these. Opponent to 8. Opponent is now fetching, surveilling, and says no to Vial. Another land drop. Opponent to 6. Oh, it's a Yorion. Force of Will. Paying the 3 mana. Pitching some random card in my hand. That is another 2-0. I have not dropped a single game yet. GG's. Alright, my opponent has revealed Yorion again. I have a Tamiyo backed by Daze and Force of Will. I like my odds. Member isn't bad either. Ooh, annoying. No. I will Daze that. Now I get at least one clue out of Tamiyo before Tamiyo becomes Force of Will fodder. I'll take it. Always yield to that. Tamiyo being Rishadan Port is also, like, not the worst either. Alright, Marsh Flats, so it does look like we're playing something similar to the previous game. What if I draw Brainstorm? Alright. Second clue. I will just make land drop and pass. Opponent fetches. Seems like either Felia or Bowmasters. That can resolve. I'll just dismember it. Yep. Pay the life. Wasteland doesn't do much against me. Let's say no to that. Force pitch Murktide. Take 1 in combat to the Orc. Extra land drop is fine as well. I keep getting clues? Do keep getting clues. Very nice. Raw. Another dismember. Okay. Here we go. Island. Brainstorm. Cool. Put back 1 and 2. Transform Tamiyo. And then have Force of Will for a Bowmasters, which is the thing that could kill my Tamiyo Planeswalker immediately. Let's just stop that problem right there. My Tamiyo does actually take 1 this turn. Then I will Tamiyo plus. I'll crack my clue to see what I want to do here. That's a lot of dismember. That is, in fact, a little more dismember than I would like. Let's cut my opponent off of black here. This is where I just want to find a Murktide Regent. All right, opponent does have access to black again. Overlord, sure. Yorion to hand, that's fine. Okay, that's all 4 dismembers. That's a bit much, deck. Force of Will's not great. Dismember kills Yorion. I will just go ahead and plus. There's land drop 5. That's happening. Don't love this. Probably have to dismember that Stoneforge, assuming Kaldra is the get here. Pre-War Formalware is also just very good. I think I still just need to take this out of play and use my mana. Bowmaster's coming back is annoying. Guess I Force of Will Pre-War Formalware and keep that from happening, and then just Tamiyo Ultimate, and it probably works itself out. Is a silly deck. Ah! No! There goes Force of Will. Another Wasteland. Yep. So there's the Bowmasters. Opponent returns it. Pings Tamiyo. Tamiyo at 6. That is not ultimate levels. Things have gotten a little tougher now. I think this is just dismember the Bowmasters, Boomerang Basics this out of play, and hope the last card is not Felia. I can't cast the 4th dismember. Tamiyo plus, Boomerang Basics the token, Tamiyo. I need one of those last 2 cards not to be Felia. Nice! So now I need my opponent not to have Bowmasters in hand. Okay. Oh, the Yorion just gets to resolve. Pre-War Formalware for Bowmasters. Damn it. I was on board. What about another Boomerang Basics? No, that doesn't do it. That returns Felia. Then Bowmaster comes into play. That gets to ping Tamiyo. My opponent can also Karakas and do this again now. My cantrips are bad to get back. Boomerang Basics is not incredible. I am going to concede here. I think I could try to wiggle a win. I just think I'm very unlikely to. So what do we do before? Piracy Charm in, Spell Pierce, Preordain out. Could also, again, think about Consign. It would be fine. Opponent threaded the needle on that one pretty well. Alright, opening hand is good. I have a starting Tamiyo, which is always great. I don't have the counter spells to back it up, but I just have another threat for if my opponent answers this. And my opponent was relatively conservative in answering it last time around. So let's do the Tamiyo thing. I could sit here and hold up Brainstorm to protect it. I think I'm just going to play Planisphere, though. Grab the basic. And I would like to start scaling this up. Opponent fetches and surveils. That is the one card that I did not want to see. Just very good against my entire hand here. I was trying to shove Planisphere before that became a problem. So we'll go about this differently. Do I just wasteland my opponent, actually? I think I just wasteland my opponent. They have a bunch of good cards. I would like them to not cast those cards. I'll bank a clue for later. They do have another land drop. Stoneforge resolves, unfortunately. I don't have the counterspells to back up my hand this time. It's a little hard for me to... Ooh, gross. I think my opponent wins this one. Not having the immediate answer to Bowmasters was pretty bad. Tamiyo Brainstorm, not amazing versus Bowmasters. Stormchaser's Brainstorm, meh. I think this has to be this looking for a Dismember. But Pre-War Formalware is a beating here. I have to kill the Bowmasters twice. I don't know how I'm doing that without dying. Tamiyo can go away. One Stormchaser's talent can go away. I'm taking so much from this. So then fetch, island, get rid of the Bowmaster for the first time, Boomerang Basics, the token out of play. And then we try to ride this with Murktide Regent. Oh no, is it Cauldra too? Okay, no, they're just going to do it right now to not give me a window. That's reasonable. 8 basics, Dismember, Brainstorm, 2 other cards. No, not Brainstorm. Talent, Otter. I think I'm 1 removal spell away from a bad time. And that's not helping my cause. That just gets a Recruiter or a Solitude, either of which is real bad. Yeah. Guess I take the hit. I can't just, like, count on making this huge. My opponent just has the Solitude. Alright, I think we threaded the line last time, but I think this is effectively curtains for me. The win streak is dead. GG's. Alright, I took a short break. A little Christmas family call, but I'm back. Hopefully we'll bring this to a 4-1 finish. Ballmasters feel good against this deck. Well, it's a blue matchup of some kind. Try to send in with the Tamiyo. Looks like that's working. I think I just want to flip the Tamiyo. I think if this works and I hit another blue land drop, that's great for me. If this doesn't work and the Brainstorm gets countered, but I get to wasteland my opponent, that's also probably good for me. Oh, hot damn. Tamiyo, more other Tamiyo? I'm putting 1 land back that I'll redraw next turn. I might just bury Ponder. Or actually, I want to fetch land this turn. Get rid of Ponder. Maybe Murktide for not being mana. Nah, let's just get rid of the waste. Tamiyo pluses. I will now fetch and clear. That's good enough to get a response from my opponent of a Surveil land. Sure. Keeping their card. Or other Tamiyo. Alright, excellent. Quarry Steelcutter, I will counter. Probably just pitching my more expensive card here. Yeah. Alright, my opponent forces back, but that means that they don't do the Quarry Steelcutter thing immediately, which is great. Tamiyo Plus is pretty okay versus Quarry Steelcutter. I'll play this out. May just be that I hold Tamiyo back, and the clues don't matter. Getting Tamiyo to ultimate does. I buy that. Preordain. Land drop. Bobble triggers Quarry Steelcutter. Opponent looks at my card. This is currently a 1-2 monk. I think I am comfortable blocking with my Tamiyo. Alright, block successful. Great. And I have a Daze for a Murktide Regent, which is one of the scarier things that could happen right now. That is the Murktide Regent, which I will just Daze. Like so. Alright, it worked. End of turn. I think for mana efficiency here, I just dismember this Monk token. Alright, fantastic. Opponent gets a Bauble redraw. Planisphere is fine. Let's go land drop, Planisphere, Tamiyo plus, and I think I'll just hold here. My opponent has to get through 3 creatures with Corey Steelcutter and a Tamiyo plus on top of that. We don't realistically see that happening. Another land drop. Lightning Bolt on the Tamiyo directly. Okay. Opponent holding back from there. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Not bad. Plus, there's Murktide. Yeah, I think I just continue to hold back. Delver flips to Brainstorm. Opponent then fetches. A prowess on a monk. I have a 7 toughness Murktide Regent and a Tamiyo that can jump block here. Ori Steelcutter over to the Delver. This is before my opponent has cast their second spell per turn. Okay, it is just a concession. Yep, broken 1-drop did broken 1-drop things. GG's. I even gave up like multiple Tamiyo clues just by holding back and playing defensively. I imagine Hydroblast is very good here. Beardane seems trimmable. Elpierce seems trimmable. Might go down on forces. Just so nice to be able to Force of Will, Murktide Regent, and Corey Steelcutter. I have Boomerang Basics, which helps with Murktide a lot. Could maybe go down Stormchaser's talent. It's just so good with Boomerang Basics, though. What about going down on Daze? I don't want to return my lands to hand because I have inevitability in this at 6. Reasonable. I can also go down on Force of Wills against Red Elemental Blast, Pyroblast effects. Opening hand is totally fine here. And opponent is not leading on a creature. That is great for me. I don't know how I'm going to play my turn. I think with 3 lands here, I like creating wastelands, even though I am better with more mana in play than my opponent. I think sometimes just stealing a freebie sounds pretty good. I think I want to play Tamiyo with Hydroblast available as backup. I think I will just ponder this turn. I'm looking for things other than lands. My opponent's just going to take that as an opportunity to surveil. Those are things other than lands. Tamiyo Brainstorm, very good. Draw those in some order. I don't think it matters too much which order. And drop 2. Brainstorm's fine. Very glad that I'm not wastelandable in the matchup. Just kind of thinking about long-term optics. Bobble, no DRC first. Not saving that for Corey Steelcutter. Is all fine. Bobble redraw. I will just play out a Tamiyo and pass. Pyroblast on the stack. Respond with Hydroblast. That doesn't mean that I'm going to untap with this Tamiyo. That's a Murktide Regent. How big are you? 6/6 is inconvenient. I can technically answer that, but it's not fun. I can double dismember around Daze. I think I'd rather just find a Boomerang Basics. Turn is so hard to play. I think I'm into this. And then I think I'm going to do this. And I'm not going to attack with Tamiyo. Murktide just gets to attack this if I don't. Alright. Yeah. Trigger. Yeah. Oh, wow. Everything just worked. That's totally unexpected. Keep these 3 cards in hand. I think I'm going to do this. A little weird. So hero token starts to get swole. I will Tamiyo plus, and this Tamiyo is serving as a distraction. And then I can double dismember this out of the way with Force of Will backup. And the Tamiyo still ends up cantripping while getting me a bunch of life. I think I'm okay with that. I'm okay with this. Up to 4/4. Opponent forces back. Okay, that's fine. That's going to take this token out of play, which is good. Oh, fuck, that other Dismember is another one down that wasn't the top card. Whoops. I don't like how I played this then. Now I'm dazable. Ugh. Thought I was going to have this up. All right, I just stacked that wrong. Well, hopefully you have nothing. I'm going in. This is such a good daze for my opponent. Okay, didn't have it. You still have to deal with this. And that's not Hydroblastable. Alright, Wasteland. For Steel Cutter, I have Hydroblast for that. Hopefully my opponent doesn't make a thing immediately. F. I'm at 4. Hate that. Alright, so there's Stormchaser's talent. Equip this thingy. Hydroblast. Ori Steel Cutter. Build to this stuff. It still leaves the Monk in play. And I don't get to Dismember again. So this is not great for me. I can't crack that fetch land. I just need to return a cantrip here. I have a blue card to make returning Force of Will reasonable. So turn a Ponder. Maybe it was return Brainstorm so that I can trade Flooded Strand for another card. There's Brazen Borrower. I'm gonna be dead to burn at any point. I need Piracy Charm for exact situations like this. Or I just have another way to kill a 1 toughness creature after I've gotten low. Pyroblast will do. Dang. GG. I had other ways I could thread that game. I want Piracy Charm over 2 Force of Wills or something. Do I want more Dazes when I'm on the play? Probably. We flip-flop those numbers. I don't know. Force of Willing a Murktide Regent is pretty good. This is fine. I have 1 land. I have no 1-drop. I'm pretty good at trading 1 for 1 with my opponent until I play Murktide Regent. Keep this and hope that it works out. This is, in some ways, 5 removal spells. If you squint at it funny. But this is, I think, the first time this league I've had a hand that looks quite like this. Scalding Tarn. I'm going to trade, or try to trade Dismember with that. Fetch. Island. Actually, maybe I trade a Hydroblast since I have 2 of those. Dismember kills Delver, Hydroblast doesn't. But Hydroblast kills Ori Steel Cutter, which is a big deal. Let's still go for this. Alright, just worked. Land drop 2. Wasteland does not cast Murktide Regent, so I'm good with that. The Delta, opponent passes. I will pass right back. I don't have the threat that I would like to be accruing cards or clues or damage while I'm doing this. That's fine. It's probably quite good. Ooh, opponent does not have more land. Noted. Help. I'm going to daze that. I know that my opponent doesn't have extra lands and that they are currently Brainstorm locked. Yep. Cool. Just using a spell so that I don't necessarily have to discard is also totally fine. And now that I have the second land drop, I can play a Murktide Regent backed by a Force of Will soon. The last one was good. Good again. Okay, nice. Gives my opponent a dazed target before I slam Murktide. Very good. But their land is an ETB tapped land, which is great for me. That happens. It says no to Ori Steel Cutter. They need mana. I will go ahead and make my little friend here. And it does resolve. If I get to untap and I have Hydroblast and Force of Will protecting that, that is so strong. That one you get. Now my counterspells just have new purpose. That was bottom. Excellent. Another Murktide. I am not quite there yet. It is certainly not bad. Down to 12. There's a Wasteland. There's Pyroblast. I will Hydroblast that right back. So, cool. So, I can just dump some things in the graveyard here. Yeah. There's a Murktide. Leaving 1 up, so I play this around days. That grows the other Murktide. ThrabenU. Down to 5. This second Murktide is only a 4. So if my opponent gets rid of the bigger Murktide, they don't die immediately. There's Petty Theft. There's a Force of Will. You have another Blast. Ooh. So I'm not swinging for lethal. Swinging for a lot, though. Send in for 4. Opponent can no longer fetch. Opponent can no longer Force of Will. I have Dismember for a Brazen Borrower blocker or equivalent. And Dismember is not pyroblastable and not dazable. There's a Murktide. How big is that Murktide? 8/8. This big Murktide. Wasteland. I'm into Wasteland, Your Thundering Falls. My opponent's probably not playing Dismember. I think I just see... This should just resolve, right? This should just resolve. That is a 3/3. Send in. Opponent has to now chump my Murktide Regent. And I will I can't play the other Murktide, right? 3, 6. No. Then I will draw with a clue. Already made my land drop. Good stuff. Oh no, that's not how my opponent needs to be spending their mana. They just need to have the cards. Untapped red land Pyroblast is what they need. Okay. That buys a turn. This just feels so dirty. Yeah. That was not a fast start or anything, but that was very powerful. And that was a 4-1 league. Bowmasters got us once. GG's. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Overall thoughts on the deck list. This deck felt incredible. It struggles specifically against the card Orcish Bowmasters, but otherwise this deck is just nuts. It is a very, very good Tamiyo deck, and all of the various cantrips you are casting give you a lot of value through like damage and flipping Tamiyo and fueling Murktide Regent at the same time. Boomerang Basics as get your creature out of the way, Murktide kill you is good. Boomerang Basics on Stormchaser's talent is good. Games weren't going long enough that we got into the higher level of Stormchaser's talent very many times, but like the level 3 ability is inevitability versus control decks, and the level 2 ability getting back removal spells is totally fine as well. The wins with this deck were very easy for the most part. Sometimes we had to work a little bit, but a lot of times the ability to open up on one of Tamiyo or Stormchaser's talent, backed by counterspells very consistently, felt very good. I will say, as games go long, the dismembers get worse and worse, which means that rebuying them with Stormchaser's talent isn't perfect. But I like this deck a lot. Is it necessarily better than something like Dimir Tempo that can just play a pile of fatal pushes and not have to give up its own life total? Maybe not. But for a card that is not playing, for a deck that is not playing dual lands, this is pretty busted. You lose out on some sideboard haymakers like meltdowns and stuff without necessarily having another color, but maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe rock solid mana and hyper consistency is just enough to accept having some other weaknesses. You know what you think of this one down in the comments below, but I'm pretty positive on this. And with that, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. I'm gonna go find some lunch and Christmassy stuff. All right, see ya.